Hello, travelers. This is Miss Hogan in the library and your friendly travel agent. Today we're going to talk about flying into the Washington, D.C. area. And the first thing I'm going to go over with you is this information right here that's been provided to you in Miss Monsef's modules. First thing is that airports have codes. So the Eastern Iowa Airport, which is right here in Cedar Rapids, in the airline world, has a code called CID. There are 3 airports in the Washington, D.C. area. They are Dulles, Reagan National, and Baltimore. And they each have their own individual codes, IAD, DCA, and BDWI. And so those codes will come in handy as you search for flights on tools like Expedia or Travelocity. Before you can decide where you, which of these airports you might fly into, you kind of need to know where they're at. So I've provided a link for you here, and that link opens up to this map, and you'll see that Washington, D.C. is right in this area here. And so the closest airport to Washington, D.C. is Ronald Reagan National. And out here to the west is Dulles International Airport. And up here to the north and east is Baltimore. And Baltimore and Dulles would both require, if you fly into those, they're both going to require that to get from their airports down into the D.C. area where your hotel would be, you're going to have to take a bus and then hop on the metro. So a 2-part transportation cost from here to here. There is a metro stop at Reagan National, so you would not have to take a bus as part of the transportation from Reagan National into Washington. So you kind of want to think about those. But as you, about those locations, where do you want to fly in? But as you're searching for flights, go back here, you're going to use these tools, and there are many of them. These are just the 2 we picked for this project. You will probably notice some price differences. So it may be less expensive to fly into Baltimore, but then you have to spend more time getting into Washington, D.C. and a little bit more money just on the transportation down. Not a ton, though. Anyway, so how do we use these websites? So I have Expedia open, and both Expedia and Travelocity look very similar. They're going to do similar functions. So as a group, one of you could be looking up information on Expedia, and someone else in the group could be using Travelocity, and you could compare and contrast those kinds of ideas. I'm on flights here, and flying from Cedar Rapids, and you'll see it says CID. And then I want to fly to Washington, District of Columbia. This is going to search kind of all the airports. But if I know I want to fly into Baltimore, I can just type in BWI, and it pops up Baltimore. And then you'll see here that I could switch it to the other 2 that are in the area. So we'll fly into Baltimore first. You are departing, I believe, on June 2nd. Your return date is June 8th. And you'll have to change this to however many people are flying. You guys actually, age-wise, fall into the children category, because I don't think anyone's over the age of 17. So you could, if there's 3 people in a group, oops. Oh, apparently this doesn't let you fly without an adult. So you might need to go over here and do like this, even though you are really not over 18. And then you can search, and it will pull back flights. And there's a couple things about this screen here, and this is the same thing that will happen if you use Travelocity. This is popping up and sorting priced from the lowest, if you want the most highest priced, or the shortest flight, or the earliest departure, or the latest arrivals. Whatever it is that you're looking for, you can kind of sort your flights by these things. Remember, there are many flights that leave throughout the day, and some flights may go from Cedar Rapids into Chicago and then on out to Washington, D.C. They might go Cedar Rapids to Atlanta and up to Washington, D.C. There's just a variety of routes you could take, and how long you want to, like if you want a longer layover over in O'Hare, you might get a cheaper flight. All depends on how you want to spend your money. But you can start looking at the screens here. So this one that popped up, so it left at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it is arriving at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, going directly from Cedar Rapids straight into Baltimore. Oh, excuse me, not directly. It has one stop, and I'm not sure what that code is. I'd have to look that up. So it has one stop in the middle somewhere. So that's not a direct flight. Down here, this is stopping in Atlanta. ORD is O'Hare in Chicago. See that one down here? But you can look over here what the round trip cost is. So that's we'll just round that up, $440, and that's per person. So that's what you would enter into your budget tracker, each of you as individuals. Okay? But you kind of have to just look at the times. When do we want to leave? Are we early risers? Can we get to the airport early in the day? Do we want to wait until later in the day to go? Gets in at 11 o'clock at night. Those kinds of things. So lots of things to consider as a group. But this price over here is not for 3 of you divided by 3. This is an individual cost. All right, this is per person. Okay? Travelocity works the same way. So you pick flight, you decide what airports you're flying into, you put your days. It does look like this has to be, if I click on flights here, adults. You're going to have to put in the adult feature here or there. And then search. And the same kind of thing will happen here. It's just a different tool. But you'll get a similar list like this when you use Travelocity. Okay? So that is my first tip about choosing an airport. Where do you want to fly in? Is it less expensive to fly into Baltimore? More expensive to fly into Reagan? What are those differences and how do you want to spend your money? And then knowing how to use the search tools at sites like Expedia and Travelocity. And we will move on to another tip later on, and I hope you enjoy your trip. Have a great day, everybody.